If you're looking to get a business loan, there are things you need to know to be able to successfully get the loan and be able to get the most money at the best terms. So today we're diving into the 5 secrets to getting your first business loan. So if you're looking to get money for your business, these are the things lenders don't want you to know. These are like the industry insider secrets that are going to help you do 3 things. First, we're going to help you get approved versus denied. We're actually going to decode why stuff gets denied so you can avoid those pitfalls before they even occur. Second, we're going to talk about how to get the highest approvals, right? I mean, oftentimes we need money, we want money, but we don't get nearly as much money approved as we'd like to get. We're going to fix that today. And thirdly, we're going to talk about getting your first business loan, but getting it on the best terms, the longest term to pay back the lowest interest rate. This is really the key. So these are my top 5 industry secrets from helping 50,000 business owners through the process of building business credit and getting financing. Let's dive in. I'm going to throw up a real quick thing here on the side of my screen. If you're really interested in building business credit, which we'll be talking about today, then make sure you register for our 100% free first time ever business credit building challenge. It takes place 2 weeks from now, which I think is like April 17th. It's actually going to get kicked off. 3 days of everything you need to know to build business credit. We're actually going to do some business credit building during the actual challenge. So if you're interested in that, you can scan the QR code or go to businesscreditbuildingchallenge.com. Okay, so look, here's the deal. If you're looking to get your first business loan, you maybe have already tried to get financing before and failed. You haven't succeeded. So there's reasons for that, and we're going to figure that out and build your business and set you up to a point where you could be successful, even if you've not succeeded before, even if you think there's no way you can get financing, even if you try to get financing and it hasn't worked out. Any of those things we're going to overcome. So here's my 5 secrets, my 5 tips to be able to get your first business loan. The first of all is something I talk about quite a bit because it's the most important, especially for your first credit card, your first credit line, your first loan for a business. And that's just putting your fundability foundation first. Understand the basics of what lenders look for. When you are applying for a business loan or credit line in the beginning, you don't have a lot of track history. You don't have business credit reports. Your business doesn't have a lot of revenue. You don't have tax returns. You don't have a lot of the stuff that gives lenders the warm and fuzzy feeling, right? So if you want to give lenders the full warm and fuzzy feeling, especially first time around, then the easiest thing that you actually want to do is you want to make sure that you come in and set your business up where it looks legit, where it looks credible, where somebody would want to give you money. And that basically is summarized by doing this. Whoop. Separating yourself from the business. You separate your credit. You separate yourself. You stop being looked at as an individual and you start saying, look at me, lender, this is what I want you to look at. But you don't want the lender to look at this if this thing that you're building is bad or it doesn't look legit, it doesn't look credible. So that's the very first secret I'm going to give you. And by the way, if you're just coming in, tell me where you're coming in from. I always like to give everybody a shout out, say hello. If you tell me your company name, your state, your I don't know, your city, your state, or your company name, then I'd love to give you a shout out. And I could make this more customized just to you as well. So give me a shout out in the actual comments. Okay, so first of all, we've got to make sure that we separate ourselves from the business and that what we're separating looks credible. This is just some basic stuff. We'll go over about 5, 6, 7 points here. First of all, let's make sure we have an entity set up. Lenders love corporations. Doesn't matter what kind of corporation you choose. They love LLCs. The second thing that we want to do is we want to have a separate address for the business. And the third thing is a separate phone number for the business. We don't want to use home addresses, PO boxes, UPS addresses. We don't want to use mobile phones or home phones. We want to get a voice over IP phone number. For example, we want to get a virtual office through Regis, Alliance, DaVinci, something that makes us look really credible, like we're in a big high-rise building in Tampa, Florida, even though we're working from our home. That creates this separation, right? We don't want them to see our home address because that doesn't separate us from the business. We don't want to use our home phone or a mobile phone because that doesn't separate us from the business. So the first thing is let's treat the business as something separate. It should have its own address. It should have its own phone number. Okay, it should have its own bank account set up. It should have its own entity. It needs to have its own EIN. Business credit is built based on an EIN. You're not even taken seriously if you don't have an EIN number. If you can get a license for the business, get a license for the business as well. Make sure the business has a website. Have a separate email address for the business, not a Gmail or an AOL. Those are personal email addresses. We want a professional email address like info@creditsuite.com. So we just want to look at everything they're going to ask for on that application, and we just want to separate it. We want to make sure the business can stand on its own and that every single component that we're listing on an application reflects that the business is legitimate. Like it's credible, it's fundable. Like this is somebody that, even though it's brand new, somebody would want to give it money because somebody clearly knows how to set up a business because the business has all of the right things that we would actually want that business to have. Very important, especially when you're getting starter vendors to build business credit or loans or credit lines for the first time. It's all based on that. It's 100% based on that. When we don't have anything else to hang our hat on, it's 100% based on fundability foundation. It's the most important thing in our world. The reality is, as we get more established, we can mess up some of that foundational stuff. It could be messed up and we're still fine. We got enough other things to carry us through. We got revenue and bank accounts that show revenue and tax returns that show profit. We don't have that stuff in the beginning. We've got to rely on that fundability foundation. The stronger it is, the better. So secret number one, you got to get that right. If you don't get that right, you're going to have a real uphill battle getting approved. And the reality is this is why most people get denied. If you're a startup, probably up to 70% of the denials you'll see are because you just messed this up. So if you want to change that to approval versus denial, just get the fundability foundation right. You get that one thing done right. It's very big step to helping you get the loans, credit lines, business credit cards that you want, especially in the beginning part of the business. That brings me to step two. Secret two is building business credit. Look, the reality is, and by the way, Trista from Chicago, what's up? Honored Abilities LLC is in the house. Artina from Austin, Texas. Hello. And Ebony from Mississippi. I sell CBD and cannabis. I love that. I also have a call center. Congratulations on your success. Daniel coming in from LinkedIn from Virginia, owner at Exit Gate Ecom Brokerage. I appreciate you all coming in. Thank you. So the secret number two to getting your first business loan comes down to building business credit. It is still astonishing to me how many business owners I talk to that do not understand the value of business credit. So if you think of it like this, the easiest way I can explain it is like this. If you are out in this world as a consumer, as a person, as an individual, and you're trying to get money as an individual, signature loans, car loans, mortgages, credit cards, you and I both darn well know that you ain't going to get if I'm saying darn and ain't in the same sentence, that I'm serious. You darn well know that you ain't getting approved if you don't have any personal credit. It's not going to happen. It's like you already understand that. It's ingrained. You'd never even try, right? You're not going to go try to get a mortgage if you have no credit established or a car loan or these things don't happen. You know it. But it's just as important. Business credit's as important to a business getting money as consumer credit is for a consumer getting money. Here's one of the reasons we don't realize that. Because in the consumer world, there's a law called the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And the Fair Credit Reporting Act says that every single time I'm denied credit because my credit was involved in the denial decision, they have to notify me that they pulled the bureau, which bureau they pulled, and what they didn't like, basically. That's what has to happen. It's why when we get denied, we get that letter and it says Experian says, hey, the bank says, hey, we pulled your Experian credit report. We didn't like it because it had these things on it. And that's why you got denied. So we have created this link. We understand that when our credit's bad, we get that, right? We understand. Or we don't have credit, we get denied because they send us letters and they tell us that stuff. The problem is there's no Fair Credit Reporting Act in the business world. It doesn't exist. There's no laws that regulate business credit. So that means that lenders turn us down for stuff all the time. We apply for a business credit card, we get turned down. We apply for a credit line, a loan, we get turned down. And the lender does not send us that letter and say, hey, man, I pulled your Dun & Bradstreet credit report, and here it was. It didn't exist, and that's why you got denied. You've never seen that letter because those letters don't exist. The lenders are not required to notify you you've been denied because you don't have business credit or the business credit's bad. So what happens is entrepreneurs are just oblivious. We don't even realize that that's the underlying reason because we're not being told that's the underlying reason. People in my space sit with stacks of denials that people send me of why they got denied, right? I couldn't get equipment financing because I got denied. I couldn't get a loan with On Deck. I couldn't get a line with Chase because they are denied. And again, the problem is most of the lenders don't tell you that. So the some that do, I've got a stack of them about people that get denied for that reason, but most people are never notified of that. They don't know why they're getting denied. So the bottom line is you have to build business credit if you really want to have any chance of getting good loans with good terms, especially long-term loans and larger dollar amount loans. It's just the way that it is. Your business credit reports show the recommendation of credit. that you should have. So that means your credit reports tell lenders, your creditors, here's how much money to give this person. Right. The problem is that if you don't have business credit reports, or if they're bad, then that number is usually $1,000 or less. So it's really tough for us to get the money we need to grow our business when credit bureaus are telling lenders to only ever give us a max of $1,000. We don't want that. What we want is the bureaus to tell lenders, hey, give them $5,000, give them $10,000, give them $50,000, give them $60,000, give them $70,000. And that will really increase the probability of us getting approved and getting approved for more money as well. And here, I always like to go to commercial credit reports to show you this. So again, let me show you some real commercial credit reports just to show you the example of what I'm actually talking about, because this is very important. If you get this right, then the reality is you're just going to qualify for more credit and financing. But if you get this wrong, then the problem is that you're going to be able to get denied and you're not even going to know why. And this is what I'm talking about. So if we just look at a typical business credit report, by the way, all three bureaus are exactly the same. It doesn't matter which one you look at. What we see is we see this right here. We see these credit limit recommendations. Okay, so when we're trying to get our first business loan, the problem is we typically have no credit established. And that number is usually like this. This is a basic credit report with nothing on it. I'm trying to scroll. I'm on page 3 of 3. There's nothing here. It's all zeros. I'm at the end of the report. There's nothing here to show. But we can see here that the person has bad scores because they have no credit. But we can also see that the credit limit recommendation is very low. So when we don't get as much money as we want, it's almost always because of this. It's because we don't qualify to get more. We don't have revenue. We don't have tax returns. We don't have bank statements. We don't have credit reports that show history. We don't have anything to justify that we should be given more. And when lenders look at stuff like this, they see that we're either recommended for $0 because we don't have a report, or even if we do have a report, it's usually very low. Now, the way to fix that is you build business credit. Look, this is somebody with one account on their credit report. They jumped up to $2,500, okay? And again, by the way, here's what's crazy. I've been doing this long enough that I can tell you how many trade lines somebody has approximately on their credit report just based on this number. I just gave you one of the biggest secrets you're ever going to get about business credit building, is that the more accounts you add to a credit report, the higher this number will go. So if I see 1,000, I know somebody has no credit. This is a no credit report. I know it every time. It's the same thing, 26 to 28 score here, 5 to 7 score here, and $1,000. This is a basic report. This is somebody that has one account reporting. I always know it. It's just the way that it is. If I scroll down, I can tell you that, boom, I'm at the end of the report. Here it is, one account, nothing else. Uline, got that person $2,500. But check this out. As we continue to add more accounts, this number goes up. So now we're up to $16,000 for recommended credit, right? Now we're up to $21,000 for recommended credit. Now we're up to $65,000 of credit. And you see what happens to get that number higher is we're adding accounts to the business credit reports. You see how this person has all of these accounts on the credit report? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 accounts. And now their credit limit recommendation is increasing. And then this person, as we looked at the beginning, they have no credit and they only are $1,000. So this person has a $2,500 recommendation of credit with one account reporting. So the bottom line is you have to build business credit because business credit directly correlates with your ability to get money. It's just the way that it is. The more credit you build, the higher the recommendations of credit that you get. So first of all, your approval to getting your first loans are based on business credit. How much money you're going to get is directly related to your business credit because the credit bureaus are recommending you for more money if you have more credit. And then your credit scores determine the rates and terms that you'll pay. That's the way that it is. So if you have an 80, 90, 100 score, which is a good score, you get low rates. If you have a 40, 50, 60, your risk is really high. You get high interest rates, right? I've been in lending for decades. And I can tell you, it's pretty basic. The higher your risk, the higher your rate, the higher your payments. It's that way. I mean, if you have bad personal credit, then you literally will spend the same amount of money on a car loan as somebody that's buying twice the car that has good credit. Somebody buys a $40,000 car and you buy a $20,000 car, your payments are the same. It makes that much of a difference when it comes to interest rate. So we've really got to make sure that we can get the most money at the best terms, which means we've got to build business credit. If we don't do that, we may get approved, but the approvals are small. The rates are typically going to be high. So that's the problem that we have. And we've got MD and NM Legacy Loan Signing Services LLCs in the house. Ty, what's up, Quentin? What's going on, man? Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you saying hello. So the third secret to getting your first business loan, improve your personal credit. Look, I'm a business credit guru, and there's a lot of overnight gurus that come into the space, and it's entertaining to me because I've been here a long time. I'm kind of like the grandpa of this world. Okay. But I can tell you that a lot of them say personal credit doesn't matter. It's completely bogus. It's not true. Yeah, you can get financing without personal credit. I'll tell you how. You focus on cash flow instead of credit, but you're a startup. If you're getting your first loan, you probably don't have a lot of cash flow to be able to show. The other thing you could do instead of having good credit is you could rely on assets, something that can be served up as collateral. But again, as a newer business, you don't have inventory, you don't have equipment, you don't have real estate, you don't have account receivables. So if you're getting your first business loan, you don't have a lot of assets that can be served as collateral. Your business is not established enough. And on the other side, you don't have revenue or cash flow to show. So the only other C that lenders look at is personal credit. And now you see the conundrum. Look, if you're trying to get financing, there's three things lenders are always going to look at: cash flow, credit, collateral. Those are called the three C's. Now, credit is personal and business credit. So think about a world where you're a startup. You do not have cash flow. You have no assets that can be served up as collateral. Well, actually, I'm going to do the opposite, right? Let me make sure I put down the middle finger first. You have no cash flow because you're a new business, right? So one of that C's is now gone. You don't have account receivables. You don't have inventory equipment. You're a newer business. You don't have assets. That C is gone. Now your personal credit's damaged and you have no business credit. That C is gone. You have no lendable merits now. That's the problem. That's why you struggle to get a loan. So that's why I tell people to build business credit. It creates a lendable merit if you don't have one, but it's also the reason you want to improve personal credit, because personal credit is important to getting financing. If you had good personal credit, or by the way, a friend, a family member, somebody that has, it could be a guarantor that has good credit, that opens up 50, 100, 150,000 in financing through a program called Credit Line Hybrid. So if you just have good credit or somebody else that does, then you can qualify for financing. But if you don't, well, then again, now business credit becomes more important because you have to have a C. You need to have something that makes you actually lendable, something lenders and credit issuers want to actually be able to help you, to be able to help you with, to be able to lend you money. And by the way, if you want to, here's a QR code as well. You can go to creditsuite.com/consult. This is if you want a free finance assessment. So if you want to talk about all the money you can get right now, scan that QR code to go to creditsuite.com/consult. Just by watching this, it's 100% free for you to be able to do an assessment. We'll look at your fundability, tell you what's jacked up and what to fix. We'll give you tips and tactics to build your business credit. We'll qualify you for financing all at no cost. So you can scan the QR code to go to creditsuite.com/consult. Okay, so now we talk about secret four, and let's recap. First, we're building that fundability foundation. We got to do that because we don't have any other merits that they're looking at. They're looking at our fundability. The business has got to be set up where it's legit, credible. Then we've got to build business credit, because business credit directly ties to how much money they'll give us and the interest rates that we're going to pay. And if we don't have any business credit built and we have damaged personal credit, we lose one of the qualifying C's that lenders look at, credit. The third thing is that we want to focus on improving personal credit. Again, when we're a new business or when we're just trying for our first loan, we don't have the cash flow. We don't have the collateral. We don't have the lenders feel warm and fuzzy. So personal credit and business credit become even more important. And that brings us to step 4, which is getting your finances in order. Okay. A lot of lenders, depending on the kind of lender that you're going to look at, they want to make sure that they're going to ask you for personal financials. They're going to ask you for business financials. They're going to ask you for anything that you may have in the business, P&L, balance sheets that the business is established. A lot of people don't know, and I've covered this topic, you can get startup SBA loans. A lot of people don't know that. You can get startup SBA loans for hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. So how do people get startup SBA loans if they don't have business credit established and the business doesn't have any revenue yet? I'll tell you, it all falls to personal. Their personal financials are strong. They have strong personal financial statements and they have strong personal credit. So it just goes to show that you absolutely can fund a business even as a brand new business and get your first loan. It's just they're going to look at financials. Sometimes they don't. If you go to get an SBA loan, they're going to want to see personal and business financials. If you go to get revenue lending, all they want to see is bank statements. But in the beginning of a business, having a business plan makes a lot of sense. Having your personal financials in order makes a lot of sense. I'm oftentimes asked for my personal financials, and having them prepared helps expedite the process. The last SBA loan we got, let me tell you what happened. It was January. The Fed started increasing the interest rates. We immediately went and got an SBA loan, not because we needed the money. 100% of that money is still sitting in the account that it went into. But we got the SBA loan because we knew interest rates were going to skyrocket. And I told everybody, I said, hey, everybody, that interest rate is going to skyrocket. It's going to get nasty. Get your loans now. We did. We went and got our loan, right? And the interesting thing is they always ask for personal financial. So they asked for it, and 5 minutes later, I had it sent over. I had it sent over 5 minutes later because I keep my personal financial up to date, okay? When I acquire more money, when I have more assets, when I sell a car and I get a car, I buy a plane and get a plane, all the crazy things happen in my life. When I'm doing this stuff, I'm updating my personal financial statement, expecting that it's going to be asked for. As an entrepreneur, it's going to be asked for. I already know that it is. I have a separate folder on my desktop for all my personal tax returns. It's going to be asked for. I know that it is. So again, having your personal tax returns set aside to show a lender, having a profit and loss statement and a balance sheet up to date for the business as you're getting the business launched, having I think I mentioned tax returns, but your personal tax returns, even your most recent bank statements quickly available to show to anybody on demand, having a business plan prepared. These things make a lot of sense. Now, you can wait until you apply for a lender and they ask for it to get you this stuff. But the problem in doing that is that it just delays your loan process. One of the most common questions I'm asked is, Ty, how long does it take to do X, right? People say to me, how long does it take to get a loan? And my answer is always the same. Decades of doing this, my answer is always the same. That depends on you. You're the delay. It's not the lender. You will always be the delay. What will happen is the lender will ask you for something, and how long it takes you to get them that will determine how long it takes to do the deal. So if the lender says, I need your bank statements, and it takes you 2 days to get your bank statements together, that's 2 days you just lost in the underwriting process, right? And then they come back and they get those and they ask you for something else, and then it's another 2 days. This is why I've learned that when I'm applying for any kind of financing, before I ever even start that process, everything I think that they need will be in a separate folder. And then I have it already. I just sent it to them. It's funny because I went in with my best friend to buy a plane, my dream plane. I started to fly 10 years ago to buy this thing. 10 years ago, I saw it in the magazine. I said, I'm going to own that plane. Went and got my pilot's license a decade ago to be able to do this thing. Okay. And it's funny because as we went through the loan process, he said, I'm done. I'm not even going to get a loan. I'm just going to pay cash for my part. This is a nightmare. And I laughed. I'm like, dude, this was simple for me because everything they asked for, I already knew they were going to ask for, and I already had it ready to supply. That's what I want for you. By having your financials in order, you have everything prepared for them to ask. And by the way, for startup funding, they may not ask for some of that stuff. They may ask for that stuff. But as you graduate up to SBA loans and stuff to that caliber, you're going to be asked for that. So have your financials separate. Just have them ready, because whenever you apply for financing, this stuff is going to be asked for. It's just a matter of which of that stuff they ask for. You get revenue lending loan, they're going to want your bank statements, merchant statements. You want an SBA loan, they're going to want P&L, balance sheet, personal financials, business financials. There's a big gap between startup funding and more advanced funding. But the bottom line is having that stuff together will help you expedite your results. Okay. And if you need help on the tax side, you can go to taxhive.com/credit suite. So we partner with TaxHive because a lot of our clients need help on the tax side. That's Kevin O'Leary's company from the Shark Tank. So if you go right there, you know, Mr. Wonderful, we all know Mr. Wonderful. Then if you go to taxhive.com/credit suite, we organized a 100% free blueprint call for you where they can sit down, go through, give you any advice on financials, help you save money on taxes, all that stuff. It's 100% free call. So we got that done for you. You can go to taxhive.com/credit suite to get that done. Okay. Secret five. Okay. You've got to optimize your application for maximum amount of funding. And what I mean by that is this. First of all, know what you're going to need money for. I talk to so many people, and this is exactly the conversation. How much money do you want? How much money can I get? You know, I want as much as I can get. That doesn't give lenders peace of mind because you're just asking for money that you have no use for. If you're out raising venture capital and they say, how much money are you trying to raise? And you say, as much money as I can raise, no investor will ever invest in that business. Everybody that's raising money, private equity, comes in and says, here's how much I need. Here's my projected financials. Here's how I'm going to use the funds. Here's what I expect the return to be on the funds I use. It's no different for lenders. They want to make sure that you know what you're going to use the money for and that you've thought enough through the process to know the kind of returns you're even going to get on that money, period. If you don't have that, it creates problem. And Mark says, hey, can you help me on each of these? Yeah, absolutely, Mark. These are a lot of things that we actually do as part of our system. So if you talk to our team, and I'll throw up the finance assessment. Actually, let me see. If you get with our team on a finance assessment, they can talk to you more. But yeah, every one of these things is one of the things that we actually help our clients with anyway. So you can go to creditsuite.com/consult or scan that QR code and we can get you the actual help that you need. Tammy, good hearing from you as well. I appreciate you saying hi. And Richard says, hear from, okay, that doesn't sound very nice. Located right here in Lutz. Oh, okay. DIK. Okay, WHIP. I don't know, man. That doesn't sound very good, Richard. That might, I don't know. DIK WHIP LLC located here in Lutz. Are you in Lutz, Florida? You might be right, my neighbor. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that as well. Okay, so that being said, okay, if you need help with that, let us know. All right, so optimizing your application. So the very first thing we have to do is figure out what we need the money for. I recommend you get an Excel log, and the Excel log comes in and lists every single thing that you're going to need money for and how much you estimate that thing will cost. The first reason this makes sense is that a lot of business owners make the mistake when applying for their first loan of applying for a loan and a credit line for the total amount they need instead of using business credit cards, which, by the way, are way easier to get, to buy all the stuff the business credit cards could buy. What I want to do is create an Excel log. And then I want to look at everything that business credit cards could buy, because building business credit is the easiest way to get capital for the business. And if I find that I need $10,000 to launch the business and $8,000 can be gotten from business credit cards, I'm going to use the $8,000 for business credit cards. That helps me have a much smaller amount that I need to get from lender and credit, from loan or a credit line. And it's way easier to get that smaller amount than get the whole thing. So list out what you need and then list out what can a business credit card buy, what's a loan better for, what's a credit line better for, and then you kind of get an idea of how much money you're going to actually need. The next thing you need to do is you need to know what kind of loan program you're going to apply for. Okay, what I mean by that is back to the 3 C's. You're either applying for financing that's based on personal credit, or you're applying for financing that's based on your revenue, or you're applying for financing based on collateral, or you're applying for financing that's based on all 3, or you're out there building business credit. It's really the only options. The only other thing outside of that is raising private money, getting crowdfunding, getting grants, some of those weird, obscure things. But again, for the most part, 99% of funding is going to fall into these categories. It's either going to be based on your personal or business credit, or it's going to be based on your cash flow, or it's going to be based on your collateral. You need to figure out which of those strengths you have. And then that's the kind of financing you need to apply for. This is very important because you don't want to go to apply on deck that's a cash flow financing lender if you have perfect credit, no cash flow. They'll never approve you. You don't want to go to Seek Capital, who's a credit-based lender, if you have $10 million in revenue and bad credit. They can't help you. It doesn't matter how much revenue you have. So by knowing your strength, cash flow, credit, or collateral, you can then figure out the right category to go with and then narrow down the right lender. And if we can help you with that, then let us know. Again, I'll throw up the free finance assessment. It's one of the things that we help you with is figure out the right lender loan program and the right lender to actually get with. But again, the bottom line is that you have to know what kind of program you're looking for. You either have cash flow, credit, or collateral, or you don't. And if you don't, then you really need credit. And you really need to be getting a basic idea of what the lender's looking for. Meaning, is the lender looking for you to have revenue? Are they looking for you to have good credit? Are they looking for you to have cash flow? What is it they're looking for? And by having that, you can get the right category of funding to apply for. Then it's a matter of narrowing it down to industry. I find the easiest way to narrow down, not industry, lender. The easiest way to narrow down to the specific lender level is find the lender that likes to lend to your industry. And then also likes to lend to your length of time. So if I'm a startup business, and I think somebody here said they were in the cannabis space. So let's start right there. So if I'm a startup lender in the cannabis space, if I'm like startup lender in the CBD space, because Richard's in the CBD space as well, right? So we've got 2 people in the CBD space. So if I'm launching a business in the CBD space, and I know that I have, a little bit of cash flow for 6 months, and that's what I'm going to use to get approved, then I want to go be looking for cash flow lenders for CBD companies. And I'm going to find somebody that can lend to that industry. Then I can get on the phone with them and say, do you work with newer businesses? And that's what I find is that if you know the category, cash flow, credit, or collateral that you're applying for, then that's 80% of the battle. Then the rest of it is finding a lender that will lend to your industry in that category. And then based on your time in business, especially if you're newer. And if you use that, you can drill down to find the exact lender to actually apply for. So really, that is my summary of the 5 steps. I said that is my 5 steps. To do a summary, you got to set up the business the right way where it's legitimate, credible. You got to build that fundability foundation. It's the most important thing at this point because nothing else in the business is established if you're getting your first loan, I'd imagine. We got to build business credit. Business credit gives us a way of funding the business. It also helps us get approved for the most money at the best terms. Getting financing for a business without having a business credit profile is just as hard as getting financing as an individual with no consumer credit profile. You can relate to that. It's just as difficult. 3, you got to be able to improve that personal credit. It's going to be important. If you want better loans, long-term loans, low interest loans, especially startup loans, a lot of that stuff has to do with personal credit. Yes, you can get funding without it, but it goes a long way to help you if you have good personal credit. 4, get your financials in order. They're going to ask for it, especially as a new business. If you don't have any credit history and no revenue and no tax returns to show them, they may ask for a business plan. They may be asking for your actual personal financial statement. That stuff is going to be more likely asked for on SBA loans and newer financing in a lot of cases because you don't have the business financials there. So get your financials in order and keep them in order. Keep them readily accessible and always have them ready before you apply for financing because they're going to be asked for. And step 5, optimize your application and the application process. And what I mean by that is know what you're going to use the money for, know how much money you're applying for with each category of funding. Business credit cards will cover this. I need a credit line for this type of thing. Narrow down the type of funding category you want based on your strengths, cash flow credit or collateral, or create a strength by business credit. Okay. And then from there, based on your industry and based on your time in business, you can find the right lender for you. Okay, those are my 5 top secrets to getting approved for your first business loan. Hopefully that helps provide you some guidance along the way. Richard says, hey, do I need to order more than once from that vendor accounts to get them to start reporting the bureaus? Usually you don't, but it depends on where you are. And by the way, Richard, I'm going to throw this up real quick because if you really are interested in building business credit, this is only going to happen it's only happened one time. This is the first time we've ever done it. It's a 100% free business credit building challenge. And you can go to businesscreditbuildingchallenge.com or scan the QR code. And at this business credit building challenge, we decode more in depth. I mean, it's a 3-day challenge. So I have 3 days to map out more than I've ever have on business credit. I can't sit here for 9 hours and map it all out, but I will during the challenge. I'm going to explain to you business credit, scores, tiering of credit, vendor credit, using credit lines to build the initial business credit profiles. We're going to look at retail credit, fleet credit, auto financing, universal credit. I mean, I can go on and on, but all of that happens during the actual challenge. So make sure you scan the QR code or just go to businesscreditbuildingchallenge.com. Just do it right now. Register. It's 100% free to do so. Okay, that being said, you don't usually have to order more than once from a vendor. Some of them, like Quill, may make you order 3 orders if you're applying with them too early in the process. Business credit building is all about applying for the right credit and the right tier. And tiers are like the order of credit you should apply for. So if you're applying for credit in the right order, there's no minimum orders to get approved for the credit in each tier. But if you apply for credit out of order, if you go to apply for Quill, which is a tier 3 vendor, when you should be applying for tier 1 vendors, then that's when you get into this requirement where they may make you buy 3 times before they'll give you credit. So the answer to that, the short answer to that is that, so the short answer to that is, and I'm trying to pull up that question again, is that if you apply for credit in the right tiers in the right order, there is no minimum. If you apply out of order, then they may make you make several purchases first, like Quill does, to actually get approved. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, and Z says, hey, how often should you apply for business credit cards? Do inquiries affect? Inquiries do not affect your business credit scores. And we'll be talking about this during the Business Credit Building Challenge because we're actually going to break down all your scores. We're going to break down. There's like 5 main scores per bureau. I'm going to go more in depth on scores than I ever have. Inquiries don't affect your scores. There is no minimum or maximum of how much credit you can apply for. If you can get approved, you should be applying for all the credit you reasonably need to grow your business in every single tier. What you don't want to do is apply for credit ahead of the time you should. You don't want to apply for tier 3 credit when you really should be in tier 1 credit. That'll just get you denied. And we'll break down the tiers, look at all the credit in the tiers and everything during the actual business credit building challenge. But to answer your question, inquiries don't affect your credit. There is no maximum of credit you can apply for. Apply for all the credit you're actually going to be able to use to grow the business. And Prince Michael and Angel was Vision. Thank you for coming in and saying hello. And we've got Karen in here from Brunswick, Georgia. Thanks for coming in and saying hello as well. So if you missed this, you can easily go back to the playback on whatever channel you're watching on now, the group, the pages, the LinkedIn profile, YouTube. It'll be played back as soon as this is done. Also, keep in mind, if you really want the nitty-gritty of building business credit, then register for the Business Credit Building Challenge by scanning the QR code or go to businesscreditbuildingchallenge.com. 3-day event takes place not this coming next Monday, but the Monday after. 100% free. And if we look at these 5 secrets, we are talking about secret 1. We're going to decode fundability, every aspect of it, including foundation and personal credit score, which are 2 of my 5 secrets here. We're actually going to decode everything to do with building business credit during the challenge. We're going to be talking about financials because that's part of your fundability during the challenge. And we're going to be talking about maximizing applications. All 5 of these secrets I briefly covered during this training. We are going deeper than it ever's been done during our first ever free business credit building challenge. All you have to do is scan that QR code or go to businesscreditbuildingchallenge.com to register. So that being said, I'm going to wrap up. I look forward to seeing, let me see here. I've got Artina says, hey, I have 2 lines reporting to Experian and Quill, and Quill, and 3 to Duns. Shouldn't they all have the same? So no, that's not going to be the same at all. And this is exactly one of the things we're going to be talking about during the Business Credit Building Challenge. It's the same as your consumer credit. If I go get a credit card today from Capital One does not report that to TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Capital One is only going to report that to maybe 1 bureau or 2 bureaus. It's the same thing in the business world. Every account doesn't report to 3 business credit reporting agencies. Every account may only report to 1 business credit reporting agency. So here, I'll show you exactly what that means and what it looks like. that was not what I wanted to show. I wanted to show this question right here, which is Artina's question. So here, Artina, I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. If you look at how we help our clients build business credit here in our business finance suite, this is exactly why we show in every tier of credit which account reports to which bureaus. So you're saying, hey, look, I have these credit lines, but I only have 2 on Experian and 1 on Equifax, for example. Well, here's why that's required. Here's why that's happening. You can see here that First National Bank only reports to D&B, while American Airlines reports to all 3, while PNC Bank only reports to D&B and Experian. And then we come down here to Frost Bank. They report to D&B and Experian. So we'll see that Sam's Club reports to all 3, but yet Kanoko only reports to these 2. So this is the problem that you're describing, is that ultimately all credit won't be the same. Each bureau will be different because each source, each credit issuer only reports to certain bureaus. That's why you see that. And by the way, we'll be decoding this during the Business Credit Building Challenge, even looking at where all these accounts report to help you get faster results. So if you want to get faster results, then go to businesscreditbuildingchallenge.com or just scan the QR code and join us. It's a 100% free event. And I think there you'll be able to get a lot of these questions answered. So that being said, I'm going to go on. Oh, our team already signed up. Yeah, let's see you at the Business Credit Building Challenge. By the way, we are building a new community that is just for our members and for our, by being part of Business Credit Building Challenge, you get free access to the community. It's going to continue after the challenge. So we're going to do challenges within the community. It's also a networking community that brings together like-minded entrepreneurs that are accomplishing this. They're looking to accomplish the same goal, in this case of getting money. So as part of that challenge, you're also getting access to this new community. It doesn't cost anything during the challenge or after the challenge. You're in. But one more reason you want to check it out, businesscreditbuildingchallenge.com. I'm going to wrap up. Thank you all very much for tuning in. And Aziz says, hey, your channel was definitely a hidden gem. I joined the challenge. I love it. You're going to love this challenge too. I mean, this is going to be, I'm excited. It's the first time we've ever done something like this. And there's so many things I like to talk to about business credit building about that I don't have time to, because these streams and stuff aren't long enough. I can't go 5 hours and waste your day. But challenges, we can break it out over a few days to give you all the information you need. So thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you go to businesscreditbuildingchallenge.com to register. Look forward to seeing you there. And I look forward to also seeing you on our next training where we talk about more cool ways to get the money you need to start and grow your business. Take care.